Mimi kwanza naleta rambirambi zangu za mke wangu na za serikali zima la taifa letu la Kenya ya huyu shujaa, our brother, the leader of ODM, the foremost political engineer in our republic, as we have been told. Nikisema pole sana Mama Aida na watoto na jamii kwa kumpoteza ndugu yetu aliyelala hapa, Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga. Let me say this for the record. The nation of Kenya today is flowing with floods of tears of grief. The foundations of Kenya are shaken by the stomping footsteps of mourners, and the soul of our nation is aching because of the loss of a great hero of our nation, a man who has been made through fabric of struggle, a man who many fondly referred as the people's president, the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. We come here to honor him in a lot of respect because of his contribution to our nation. Na ndio sababu leo nataka niseme mambo machache. Mimi na huyu kiongozi wetu Raila Amolo Odinga nilijuana na yeye wakati nilichaguliwa kama mbunge wa Eldoret North in 1997. I came to meet him in parliament. Baadaye tukawa na urafiki na ushirikiano mpaka tukatengeneza ile ilikuwa inaitwa cooperation siku hizo, mpaka Raila akakuwa Secretary General wa KANU. Baadaye nikaungana na yeye wakati tulikuwa na mambo ya katiba ya taifa letu la Kenya. Tukashirikiana katika kutafuta katiba mpya ya Kenya. Mimi nikuwa mwenyekiti wa kamati ya bunge ya katiba baada yake. Na mambo yakaenda mpaka tukaunda chama cha ODM pamoja na ndugu yetu Raila Odinga akiwa ndio kiongozi wetu. Ndio nikashirikiana na yeye na nikajifunza kutoka kwake. I can confidently say, as Mama Aida has said, Raila Odinga was not just an engineer, he was a political engineer. And I can say here, among his many students in the class of political engineering was yours truly, William RUTO. And I am very proud today that Raila Amolo Odinga is being rested when one of his own students, a man he has mentored, is today the President of Kenya. Mimi nataka niseme hivi. Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga, katika uchaguzi uliopita wa 2022, watu wengi ambao walikuwa wananiunga mkono walikuwa wanashangaa sana kwamba mimi si kuwa na wasiwasi wowote na uchaguzi wa 2022 kwa sababu mashindano ilikuwa kati ya Raila na mwanafunzi wake. And therefore it didn't matter to me the outcome of the election of 2022. Either Raila Odinga was going to win or his political student William RUTO was going to win. And that is why hata wakati waliniuliza watu wengi, wewe bwana, wewe unawezaje kushindana na Uhuru Kenyatta na Raila Odinga wakiwa pamoja? Mimi sikuwa na wasiwasi sababu kama Raila angeshinda hiyo uchaguzi, mimi ningekuwa nimepata ushindi, na kwa sababu nilijua yeye yale alikuwa amepanga katika manifesto ya Azimio, mpango ya housing, mpango ya universal health coverage, mpango ya elimu, mpango ya kilimo, mpango ya masomo, yalikuwa sambamba na sawia na sawa na yale nilikuwa nimepanga. It is just a student and his teacher. And that is why I can now reveal here today that immediately after the election, a few months, and there are witnesses sitting in our midst today, I looked for Baba. A few months after the election, nikamwambia mheshimiwa, tukaketi chini na yeye, nikamwambia mheshimiwa Prime Minister, wewe ni mwalimu wangu. Kwa umri mimi natoshana kuwa kijana wako. Kwa mapenzi ya Mungu mimi ndio rais wa Kenya. Nikamweleza mheshimiwa Raila, kwa hii serikali mimi nataka nikupatie mambo machache. Nikamwambia kwanza, kama utasimama 2027 kuwania urais, ama kama utaunga mkono mtu mwingine, mimi hainijalishi. Mimi ninataka kama kijana wako niliyejifunza siasa chini yako, nataka nikushughulikie kwa sababu wewe, you have made a huge sacrifice for our nation. You have made a huge contribution to our nation. And I told Baba, I want, as a person who has learned in your political school of politics, I know you have made a huge contribution to Kenya. I know you have paid a huge personal sacrifice, family sacrifice, community sacrifice. I want to right the wrongs that have been done to you in our nation. And we agreed with the former Prime Minister, and I told him without condition, I will do whatever he wanted me to do, especially to make sure that the sacrifices he had made for our nation, the contribution that he had made for our nation, we right any wrong that may have happened. Mimi namshukuru Mungu kwamba baadaye katika safari hii ya siasa, Mungu alinipatia nafasi, mbali na changamoto nyingi zilizokuweko, Mungu akanipatia nafasi nijumuishe chama ya ODM katika serikali ya Kenya. And I am very proud that today ODM is part and parcel of the government of the Republic of Kenya. Wakati Baba nilizungumza na yeye, hakunipatia masharti yoyote vile ya kujumuisha ODM kwa serikali. Mimi ndio nilimuuliza, Baba, mimi nataka waziri wa fedha wa kwanza wa kutoka Nyanza, mimi na wewe tupatie nafasi hiyo. Baba akanipatia huyu mungwana anaitwa Nyang, huyu John Mbadi. Leo I am very proud that Baba and I made the decision to have John Mbadi as the Minister of Finance of Kenya. Today, inflation has come down to 4% from 9.6%. Exchange rate has come down from 165 to 129. Today, our inflation, I have said, exchange rate, our interest rates have come down, and Kenya is now the 6th largest economy in the world, in Africa. This man, John Mbadi, anatosha ama atoshi? Wengine waliniambia ya kwamba hatoshi kwa sababu anatoka mahali fulani. Nikasema nitamfanya waziri nione what is going to happen. Na leo we have seen what has happened. I am very proud of the decisions that we have made. And so are all the other ministers that we are now joined together in this administration. Mimi nataka niwaeleze ndugu zangu. Najua ya kwamba mimi ni kiongozi wa chama ya UDA katika Kenya Kwanza. Lakini mimi nataka niwahakikishie wana ODM, kulingana na matakwa ya Baba, because Baba believed in political parties, he built the largest political party, ODM. I want to tell you, we will respect ODM. We will support you to hold ODM together. ODM must be strong as we go to 2027, because that is the way we are going to have a strong government. Political parties are the foundations of any meaningful democracy. And therefore, the future of ODM, the strength of ODM, the well-being of ODM matters a great deal to me, because that is how we are going to have a strong nation, by having strong, vibrant, national political parties. Kwa hivyo wana ODM, ile kitu mimi nataka niwahakikishie, kwa mapenzi ya Mungu, ODM will either form the next government or be part of the next government. Ile kitu siwezi kukubali. Ile kitu kwa heshima ya huyu shujaa wetu, ile kitu siwezi kukubali, na nitafanya juu chini, Mungu anisaidie. Ni wale ambao wanataka kung'oa chama ya ODM na kwenda kuchezea karata ya upinzani kule nje. Hiyo haitawezekana. Si tukisema ODM tunasema tuko tayari. ODM. 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 Muko tayari? Muko tayari? Tuunde serikali 2027. Mimi nataka niwaeleze hivi. Baba, we consulted with him very often. But the last 1.5 months were very difficult times, because every time I met Baba, his voice was hoarse, and he kept on telling me that I am weak because I am taking some drugs. And I was very concerned. He explained to me that he had gone to Dubai, and he had gone to the American hospital. and they had told him a few things about his health. And then he came back and went to Canadian hospital again in Dubai. And after he came back, his doctors, led by Dr. Odinga, who is his personal doctor for many years, administered some medicines to him. And when I went to New York for the United Nations General Assembly, I kept track with what he was doing. And I told him, I will come back, I'll come through Dubai, I will also do a medical checkup, but when I come back, I want us to meet. Because his health was very concerning to me. So when I came back, I thought I would meet him on a Saturday or was it a Sunday. But when I called him, he told me, William, Bill, actually, I have gone to Malindi. The doctors have advised me to go and rest in Malindi. I will come back on Tuesday. So I told him, it's okay. Let me go to the farm. I will come back on Sunday. I will wait for you on Tuesday. On that Tuesday, Baba called me and told me he is coming. And he wanted to come and meet me in the office. I told him, because you're not feeling very well, you go home, I will come home in the evening. And that evening on Tuesday, nikaenda nyumbani, Mama Aida akatupikia chakula, nikawa na ndugu yake Uburu, nikawa na msichana wake Winnie, tukakula chakula cha jioni, tukaongea, akatueleza sisi zote vile alivyokuwa anajisikia, na kwa kauli moja sote pale tukamueleza hatutaki guesswork kwa mambo ya afya. Wewe mwenyewe na madaktari zako uamue. Na nikamwambia serikali ya Kenya itamsimamia akiamua kwenda mahali popote kutafuta matibabu. Kwanza alikuwa anajaribu Ujerumani, akasema pengine atajaribu China, akasema pengine atajaribu sehemu zingine, mpaka akamalizia akasema ako na marafiki ataenda kule India. And we facilitated everything that the former Prime Minister, as the leader of this nation, wanted. Sitaki kusema yale mengine kwa sababu sote tumeambiwa. But I must commend members of his family because they were always there for Baba. Especially Winnie Odinga. Winnie, you are a special person to your father. You stood by your father. You were concerned about his health. You persuaded him to take his health seriously. I must also thank Ruth. Ruth Odinga, you were there for your brother. And Oburu kept calling. Mama Aida kept calling. But I want to say, it was not easy. Because when we thought Baba was okay, in fact, alikuwa amepigia watu wengi simu. Waambia mimi niko sawa sasa, madaktari wameniachilia, wamesema nirudi baada ya miezi 6. Wacha sasa niende nipumzike, nitapitia Dubai, nikuja nyumbani. Tulikuwa tunapanga kuja hapa Jaramogi Oginga Odinga on Thursday kwa ile investment conference. Lakini mambo yakabadilika, yakawa vile yalivyokuwa. So nikienda ofisini asubuhi, I remember it was about 6:40 or 6:45 there. Nikaona kwa simu yangu Oburu ameniandikia WhatsApp message, akaniambia my brother is critically ill. Nikampigia Oburu, nikamuuliza I thought we spoke to Baba and he was feeling okay. Imetokea nini? Akaniambia amepata information. So nikachukua simu yangu, nikapigia yule ambaye alikuwa ameenda na yeye. Akaniambia Baba it's okay. Yeye pia hakuwa anajua. Nikamwambia hebu check. Nikachukua simu yangu nikapigia mwingine, akaniambia pia hajasikia. In a few minutes, like 10 minutes, Oburu akanipigia tena. Akaniambia inaonekana Baba ametuacha. It was not conclusive. So that's a few minutes after 7. After 2 minutes, Winnie akanipigia. Akaniambia, first I told her, please Winnie, don't tell me any bad news. But of course she said, the bad news have happened. My father is no more. And those were very, very difficult moments. Many commentators in the newspapers and in the media say this is a very big blow for William Ruto. Yes, it is. It is a very big blow. A few minutes later, we consulted with the family. I remember calling Ida. She could not talk on the other side. And then we managed to do the processes that were necessary. I got in touch with the government of India, and I requested them to accord our brother the highest support that they could. I must thank the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, who is a friend of Raila Odinga, for putting at his disposal, our disposal, all the support, including military honors, for our brother Raila Amolo Odinga. Lakini haikuwa rahisi hivyo. Baadaye jioni, tukisha panga vile watu wataenda kumchukua mwili wake, usiku, Winnie akanipigia. Winnie akaniambia, Mr. President, hiyo ndege ambayo inakuja kubeba mwili ya baba, mbona inaenda Mumbai? Mbona isikuja hapa mahali baba yuko? Sasa wewe unanifanya nisumbuke kupeleka mwili ya baba saa hii usiku. Ningangane naye niweke kwa ndege na nimechoka. Na hii kitu ni mzito sana kwangu. So I had very difficult moments there. Nikamwambia Winnie, unajua sasa hii ndege iko na watu wengine wanaenda kule Mumbai. Na turnaround yake tulikuwa tunataka kupunguza. But she could not take any of it. Nikawachana na yeye, nikapigia Ruth. Nikamwambia Ruth, please help me manage Winnie. Mwambie tu atulie kidogo, these arrangements we are making. But all in all, I must say the concern of the family, his children, the wife, his brother Oburu and all the others was amazing. Hapo katikati, wakati bado tunahangaika, nafikiri kama saa 3 hivi asubuhi, nimeona kwa WhatsApp Junior amenitumia message. Nasema will ya baba inasema he must be buried within 72 hours. Huyu Junior amenitumia. And I am sending our lawyer to Mama to go and tell her what Mzee's will was. So hapo katikati sasa ikawa ni kizungumkuti. We are trying to balance between the will of the late, the reality of where he is, the requirements of culture, the state, the church. So there were tensions all over the place. That we are here Sunday to pay our last respects to Raila Odinga is an act of God. Na tunashukuru Mungu kwamba imetusaidia tufikishe hapa. Finally, as I must say this to the people of our nation, because this is the assignment that the Honorable Raila Odinga and I will mention who else were working on. Mumesikia Mama Aida Odinga vile ameongea. Amesema Raila was very concerned about our country and the state of our development. All of us know that Raila kept on telling us about South Korea, about Malaysia, about Singapore, and about those countries that were with Kenya 60 years ago. And he was very concerned that Kenya was still a third world country. You have heard from Haida herself. It was a major concern for the Honorable, the late Prime Minister. And wacha niwaeleze wa Kenya, the last 3 months, I have been engaging deeply with the former Prime Minister. And I want to say, when I first declared that I was going to run for president in 2005, among the people who encouraged me, then, when it was not even thinkable that I would be anything, was Raila Odinga. The last 3 months, we sat together and we agreed with Raila. And I want to say here in front of his body, we agreed with him that we must do whatever it takes to get Kenya out of this third world status and move it to the first world. We sat down with this man here. Na tukakubaliana na huyu Raila Amolo Odinga. Mwenyewe akatumana yule Hino, Professor Hino, akuje Kenya. Hino came here almost a month ago for us to agree on the plan that is going to get Kenya out of this mess. Nyinyi mnajua hapa Siaya sasa iko mpango ya nuclear energy, kwa sababu Raila alisema hatuwezi kuwa ni nchi ambayo tunaweza kusonga mbele if we do not have enough energy. And Raila proposed that we should at least generate another 10,000 megawatts. Let me say this because there is no other moment for me to say this when he is here with us. The same Honorable Raila Odinga agreed with me that we must extend the SGR from Naivasha through Siaya here to Malaba. He also agreed with me that we must extend a dual carriageway from Rironi through Nakuru, through Eldoret to Malaba, and also through Kericho to Kisumu to Malaba. And we agreed with him on how we are going to build a new airport and how we are going to expand our infrastructure. Haya ni mambo niseme mbele yenu, the late akiwa hapa. Na tukakubaliana na yeye tutawazungumzia viongozi wetu wa bunge tuanze kuelewana. Na nikakubaliana na yeye kwamba pia nitamtafuta rais wa 4 Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta. And I want to say here to you, Baba, we agreed, me and you, that I would look for President Uhuru Kenyatta. And I booked an appointment. I sat down with President Uhuru Kenyatta and we discussed what I had discussed with Prime Minister, about the future of our country, how to think big, how to get rid of the average and the usual and the normal and the ordinary, so that we can stretch this nation to the extraordinary and to the excellent. And you remember, President Uhuru Kenyatta, I came to your office, I sat down with you, I explained to you what I had discussed with my brother, Prime Minister, and I want to thank you immensely that you shared in putting this country together, eliminating division and tribalism, and making sure that we can forge a unity that would lift Kenya from a third world status to a first world status. Ndugu zangu waombolezaji, Mama Aida, I have discharged my responsibility kutoshana na rais. Ndugu zangu, mimi sitaki kusema kuzidi hapo. Nataka nimheshimu Mama Aida kwa kutusaidia kuchunga huyu kiongozi wetu, watoto wake, by standing with their father. Familia Jaramogi for the contribution they have made and for allowing Raila to be part and parcel of many families, not just the Jaramogi family. He became part of the family of Kenya. Today we have leaders from across Kenya who associate with Raila Odinga, who have been mentored by Raila Odinga, who are supporters of Raila Odinga. I must thank his security people, Maurice Ogeta especially. Thank you very much, Maurice, for standing with Raila always. I remember Maurice, in our days of ODM, this Maurice used to wipe our shoes when we came late from campaign. Maurice, I want to tell you, Government of Kenya, as we look after Raila's legacy, you too will stand guard with us to look after Raila's legacy. Together with all the other people who worked with Baba. To this community, I want to assure you that by God's grace, we're going to journey together in the footsteps and in the direction that our friend and brother Raila Odinga has pointed to us. And I will not betray the course upon which I have agreed with him. Asanteni sana, poleni nyinyi wote, rest in peace. Raila Amolo Odinga, our leader. Thank you very much.
One. Makofi tafadhali. Thank you, Your Excellency. And allow me now to just give the exit protocol before I invite the Right Professor Professor David Kodia to lead us in a closing prayer. Our exit protocol, and I'll request that the pallbearers, we can take our positions right now. We'll have the clergy leave first, followed by the casket, and then family and His Excellency the President. At the request of the family, it is a private burial. Kwa hivyo wananchi tunaomba ya kwamba tafadhali tutizame kwa runinga. Tusiende pale nyumbani kwa sababu jamii imeomba ya kwamba go. The rest of us kindly let's stay and watch it on the screens that we have. Reverend, kindly lead us in a closing prayer. Again, we'll have the bishop's lead, followed by the casket, family, and His Excellency, the President. Tuombe tafadhali. Tuongozwe na clergy. After that we shall have the caskets, followed closely by the family and His Excellency the President. So if I may kindly request that the family, we may begin to make our way so that when the casket is being loaded, we are ready to get into the vehicles and proceed.
Ikwara mogia juang, akwayo ugimolo, ni mondo wabeda kama wantiere no, wangi proceedings e TV, wawe mondo familia, odhikend gi nikech kachatin, okwanyal chopo wate. Akwaya gimolo.
Well, Reverend Professor David Godia, they are summing up today's emotional ceremony. That has seen speaker after speaker eulogize the former Prime Minister as a man who put the country before anything else, starting from, of course, President William RUTO, all the way to the family members, just giving us an insight of exactly who former Prime Minister Raila Odinga was and what he stood for. Every leader, of course, praising his ability to make friends, go back to the very bridges that he had crossed, but also ensuring that indeed this country stood in unity, even in most difficult situations. The procession now leads to Kango Kajaramogi, which is about 2 kilometers away from where we are. The pallbearers leading the way, closely followed by family members, and then lastly, what follows is President, and then the rest of invited guests. Remember, this is going to be a private affair at Kango Kajaramogi. The family has requested, because of the space that is actually available at Kango Kajaramogi, just to allow family members, high-ranking government officials, and those invited to attend the ceremony, the private ceremony that will be happening there. That is the ceremony of the remains of the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. That has always been the case, even when his son Fidel Macarius Odinga died. it was just a ceremony of a select few who were allowed into that home, and that is mainly because of the space that is actually available there. Just take you through some of the things that have actually been talked about by the leaders who stood and spoke about the former Prime Minister, talking about the political class, of course, describing him as a mentor par excellence, a teacher who taught most of them how to do politics, how to navigate through the murky field that is Kenya's politics, how to ensure that indeed they remained afloat. One of the key elements that have actually been brought to the fore has been that of the former ODM Deputy Party Leader Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya was pointed out clearly that indeed one of the messages that the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga told him was that never sever bridges, never burn bridges, and also there are no permanent enemies in politics. There are no permanent friends in politics. A mantra that the former Prime Minister lived by himself, and of course ensured that even in difficult situations, times when people thought that they will never talk to this politician or the other politician, he always had that opportunity of or that skill of mending fences and finding a common ground in terms of ensuring that indeed this country moves forward. The president, of course, moving the crowd with revelation of finer details of exactly what happened in the last 3 months. The president saying that he was concerned about the former premier's health, and he indeed asked the premier to seek the best available medical attention. And of course, there were a number of options, and eventually he decided that he's gonna go to India for treatment. He says, of course, in his wisdom and of course the powers bestowed upon him, he said that the government, he assured for the family of the former premier that indeed the government will take care of any costs that are actually needed in terms of ensuring that the former premier is taken care of. And indeed he says he was abreast on a daily, almost on a daily basis, of exactly what was happening in India and the treatment that indeed the former premier was undergoing. He also says that he also recounts on the day, of the fateful day when we lost the former premier. He says he received a call from Oburu Odinga, the elder brother to Raila Odinga, and then shortly after he received a call again from Oburu Odinga, and then he tried calling Raila Odinga's daughter Winnie, who has been by the father's side for quite some time, and then shortly after Winnie called back. Shortly after, of course, it was very clear or evident that indeed we had lost the former premier. President William Ruto, of course, also revealing finer details of the last moment engagement with the former premier in terms of just what he wanted for this country. He says the former premier, again in his true element, was worried about this country's position as a third world country, and one of the resolve they had actually made together with the president and the former president Uhuru Kenyatta was to find ways of ensuring that they moved this country from third world state to a better position. And he says part of the issues they had actually discussed on was infrastructure development and general development of the country. And he says that the former premier had actually sought the services of a former of a renowned professor, Japanese professor, who was to come and find a solution in terms of giving a structured steps of how the leaders and of course the government would actually find ways of ensuring that indeed this government, this country moved from its current state to a better state. President William Ruto also revealing that indeed that is a commitment he undertook to ensure that indeed is actualized. And here amongst the issues that they had actually discussed, he says, was the extension of the SGR from Naivasha all the way to Siaya and all the way to Malaba, is that the dueling of Rironi, the dueling of the road from Rironi all the way to Eldoret and to Malaba, of course also ensuring that it passes through Kericho all the way to Busia. Those were some of the highlights of the discussions, just to ensure that in the vision and the desire of the former premier were actually met in terms of ensuring that indeed this country moved to the next step. But one of the things that have actually been discussed here is the need to keep the country first. Each and every leader has spoken to what the former premier believed in, and even the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Masika Wetangula, saying that after they lost the 2017 general poll and everything was actually lost, South Africa for a week, and he says that the message that constantly came from the former premier was about the need to ensure that indeed this country remained united, this country remained stable, that indeed he says that the country, the unity of the country superseded any other interest, according to Raila Amolo Odinga. Of course, we also heard from the family members who have told us who exactly Raila was from his childhood up until what we've actually had to see as Kenyans. The brother Oburu, that they were very close in terms of just growing up together, very close association and everything. They were very close, but one remembers about Raila Amolo Odinga was his commitment to education. The other thing that he remembers about Raila Amolo Odinga was the fact that Raila Odinga, at a very tender age, didn't like injustices. He started showing from that injustice was not something that he would actually tolerate. And he cited an example where a teacher actually punished the former premier, and as was the tradition then, they expected that, of course, the former premier will stand up and say thank you, but he said, or salute the punishing teacher. But of course, that did not happen, and he said that will not happen. That, of course, was also corroborated by his sister RUTO Odinga and many other leaders who actually spoke, just speaking to what the former premier believed in. Of course, the procession now is heading to the former premier, to the home of Odinga Odinga, where the former premier will actually be laid to rest. He's actually going to be laid to rest next to his father's grave at Kango Ka Jaramogi. So I will hand over to my colleague Doreen Ara studio. So then, of course, he takes over before we get to Kango Ka Jaramogi, and of course my colleague Wycliffe Okech, who is actually standing by in Kango Ka Jaramogi, will ensure that indeed we can find the best pictures and the best moments of what exactly will be going on at Kango Ka Jaramogi. Back to you, Doreen Arange.
Mayore jo olobo inje wololore jo chinende jo magora lambo wendo makolimo di gimoyudo emofalo chalo kora uka ogalagala magoro kalausi aworo magoro limo kajara mogi mokwanyo woda juma gino litnayo Arangolo kachane no kanya motimo gode mirima pena nango motimore obole Maguli mangisa koloro wangi chieng no bonyo ikieto kanda penye negilich Wololore joy Chinende joy, mayore joy, Jodala buinde joy, Nuolore joy, Chinende joy, mayore joy, buinde, Wololore joy, Sumo buinde joy, mayore joy, Olo buinde, Lore joy. Chinende joy, mayore joy. Oh, you are Kubudu Gingani. Oh, DJ weka hiyo ya Raila Odinga. Tuko na ngoma ya Raila Odinga, wacha iwekwe hapo kidogo. Wayo guru jako mogika kwa uko do mieluru bondes disco matanga.
Aya waweruru wa mieluru wapara kwamba uonya lego Ninga
Lo nyonuru lo nyonuru lo nyonuru lo nyonuru ne waloruru stage obeduru gi order.
Nyikwara mogia juang akwayo ugikwe ni waloruru stage.
Waloruru stage obeduru gi order Martin. Waloruru stage mondo wamiel.
Wabeduru gi order nyikwara juang waloruru stage. Wabeduru gi order wawinjore wamiuru Costa Ojuang na
waloruru mondo wamieluru maber. Kawuone ma wan go kende.
Wabeduru gi order wawe stage. Akwayo ugikwe, akwayo ugimuolo. Wawe uru stage ne Costa mondo konywa. Wawe uru stage. Ero uru kamano kuom winjo. Ero uru kamano wawe uru stage. Security konya uru. Aya DJ wawe uru stage. Ero uru kamano DJ.
Hatua hii ambayo ni ya
Basi nitapisha kanisa niweze kuendelea shughuli zao za maombi, kisha baadaye kuweza kuweka mchanga. Let us pray. Lord, have mercy upon us. Christ, have mercy upon us. Then I heard a voice from heaven say, "Write, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit. They will raise from